Good evening and welcome to Match of the Day, and the programme for the second week running is different. Due to an industrial dispute, coverage of our main match is somewhat restricted, but league leaders West Ham and champions Liverpool will still keep you on the edge of your seats.
Here's Witten. Good effort! And Grobbelaar did well.
And that's followed by Leicester City, whose start to the season hardly suggests that they would be singing in the rain that fell at Filbert Street today. But their approach to their game against Southampton indicated that blue skies might be just around the corner.
Tonight's headlines: Charlton's chairman offers to resign in a bid to save the second division club. Aston Villa's manager accuses a Birmingham player of butting one of his men after today's match. Liverpool are likely to lose their top striker for Wednesday's European Cup tie. And world champions Italy are sensationally beaten at home by Sweden, a result that puts them out of the European Championship.
So the venue for our first game is Upton Park, home of West Ham United, currently topping the table and taking on their sternest task so far. Champions Liverpool smarting after a 1-0 defeat at Anfield by Sunderland. Your commentator is Alan Parry.
Trevor Brooking hopes to end his career with a league championship medal, but the true test of West Ham's potential will be better judged after today. A full-strength West Ham start the game 7 points ahead of Liverpool, and victory today absolutely vital. But Liverpool come here with 2 league defeats behind them. That normally means problems for their next opponents. They bring back Phil Neal in place of Steve Nicol. Sammy Lee, one of the successes for England in Budapest. And the referee today is Les Shapter of Torquay. So it's West Ham who get us underway, attacking from right to left, and the conditions could hardly be more difficult. There's a howling wind and driving rain. It's behind Liverpool's backs in this first half. Liverpool in their change strip of all yellow. A particularly difficult day for goalkeepers, I'm sure. And for the crowd. Hansen. Header on by Johnston. Rush unable to control, and Stewart concedes the corner. So Liverpool settling down rather better in the early stages to these very, very tricky conditions. Stewart, and that was a moment of real danger. Stewart attempting to head the ball clear. It slid off the top of his head against the crossbar. So West Ham relieved to get away with that. Now Neal, and Parks did well. Neal going for the bottom corner, the ball across the slippery turf, a good save. Tremendous length on that kick. And Kennedy in trouble for a moment, and Goddard almost made him pay for it. Well, the wind has really carried that an enormous distance. Bond's in trouble. There's Robinson, and Liverpool take the lead. Michael Robinson. Robinson clearly injured too, and he had to be brave. That enormous kick by Grobbelaar, fooling Bonds completely, and the header found the net. So, disappointment for West Ham, but for Michael Robinson, his first ever league goal for Liverpool. Liverpool take the lead. West Ham United 0, Liverpool 1. And Bonds, playing his 700th game for West Ham today, will be disappointed with his part in that goal. And so too will Phil Parks. He could do nothing. Good layoff. And a better ball still by Dalglish to Johnston. Robinson continues his run in the middle. Souness. And Robinson, that's his second. And Liverpool take a 2-0 lead. Well, once again, Liverpool's stylish play down the left-hand side, important in the goal. It was a fine cross by Johnston. Bonds, a poor clearance really. Souness had the first effort, and Robinson finished off. So the West Ham spectators disappointed to see their side lose 2 goals in the first 25 minutes, and not many teams come back from that kind of deficit against Liverpool. That will be a free kick, I think. No, the referee waving play on. Another enormous kick aided by the wind for Grobbelaar. This time West Ham get it clear, and that was a foul surely by Johnston on Pike. And Graham Souness, the Liverpool captain, trying to intervene, but Johnston will be booked. Johnston not happy, clearly. West Ham really struggling to put together any really threatening moves in this first half. Liverpool's domination has been almost complete. And that's a fine ball too from Robinson for Rush. It could be even more complete now. And Parks does well. Robinson trying to come in on the rebound, but it never happened. Robinson's header set up Ian Rush then, who showed great pace, tried to pull the ball clear of Parks, who finger-tipped it to safety. Devonshire. Oh, well, Liverpool get behind the ball. Lee and Neal in Devonshire's way here. Forced to go across the field. Here's Witten. Good effort! And Grobbelaar did well. Steve Witten always keen to try a shot from any range, and as Devonshire weaved his way across the Liverpool goal area, he set up the opportunity, and Witten struck it cleanly. Bonds clear. Devonshire beaten though. Here's Lee for Liverpool. On the right is Phil Neal. Liverpool's running off the ball, exemplary really. One of the main reasons why they do so well. Always a man in support. This time it's Dalglish. The shot was deflected. Bonds again trying to lift his side. It's been a disappointing first half for him and for West Ham in general. And it ends with Liverpool, thanks to this man Michael Robinson, with a 2-goal lead, and one they richly deserve. So Liverpool start the second half before a capacity crowd of over 32,000 here at Upton Park. Wondering, no doubt, Connie Moran and Roy Evans there on the Liverpool bench, wondering just how much the conditions will affect them in the second half. As Bonds brings down Rush, certainly West Ham found terrific problems against this gusting wind. And Phil Neal has waved to the Liverpool bench, clearly anxious. Could be that this injury is worse than it first appeared. The Liverpool fans amongst the crowd see Rush go off, in fact, and David Hodgson, the substitute, will come on in his place. Hodgson, who lost his place initially to Michael Robinson when he joined Liverpool in the summer. The game restarts with a Liverpool free kick. This is Lee. Souness. Given away. Devonshire for West Ham. Lee battling to win it back. And battling a little too hard. West Ham's free kick. Graham Souness not happy. Stewart. Good layoff to Pike. And here's Brooking, but he's offside surely. It won't count. And Brooking knew it. Pike threading the ball through to him neatly, but Brooking was always offside. Kennedy for Liverpool. And Whitten had no intention other than to stop Alan Kennedy's progress. Kennedy tried to show exactly what happened then, but Mr. Shapter didn't need that advice because he saw perfectly himself, and Steve Whitten's name goes into his book. A blatant shoulder charge, and an unfair one at that. Hansen. This is Walford for West Ham. The West Ham fans trying to lift their side, but they need a goal to do that, really. And they haven't, frankly, looked like scoring one up to this point in the game. Here's Stewart, though. It's been a masterful display by Liverpool so far, and Johnston and Bonds clashing off the ball. And Johnston, of course, was booked in the first half, is in trouble here. Bonds trying to plead with Mr. Shapter that he should stay on, but I think that Johnston will have that long walk to the dressing room. All the players trying to say their piece on Johnston's behalf, but Mr. Shapter looks insistent. Alan Devonshire joining the pleas, but Johnston must go off. And I must say that's a harsh decision. The conditions, as much as anything, causing that tackle on Billy Bonds. And Mr. Shapter, as Ronnie Moran puts an arm around Johnston, and the crowd wondered too why the referee was quite so harsh, I'm sure. Goddard. Still West Ham building most of their attacks down that left-hand side. Lawrenson's tackle. Walford. Goddard through, Brooking, and Grobbelaar made a good save then. He hobbles away, he had to be brave, and he was at the feet of Trevor Brooking. So a corner the outcome. Bonds, and Liverpool get it clear. But really, Grobbelaar showing great courage then to go down at the feet in these conditions of Trevor Brooking. Souness for Liverpool. Robinson has worked tirelessly for Liverpool's cause, particularly since Johnston was sent off and they were reduced to 10 men. He really has had an excellent game. Here's Lee. Souness. Dalglish wanting it. And Robinson, and that's the hat-trick! And the man of the match, deservedly, gets number 3 for Liverpool. A good build-up, Lee and Dalglish involved, but Robinson's finishing was immaculate. So, West Ham 0, Liverpool 3, and Liverpool really have dealt a lesson to West Ham today. West Ham, who started as league leaders, but really know now the measure of what it needs to be league champions. Park's beaten 3 times. Hodgson. Stewart takes over, but Hodgson got a foot in. And Liverpool have contested every tackle so keenly. And again then. And Whitten running into Dalglish. Kennedy. Oh, it sneaked through to Dalglish, and Robinson nearly got a 4th and still could. And Parks did well in the end. Well, Dalglish lifting the ball across the goal. Robinson came in, and it was a good reaction save. This is Devonshire for West Ham. Time running out for them. And surely any thoughts of even a point have gone now. Souness. And still the rain and the slippery conditions affecting play, and how well Liverpool have coped with them. Brooking. Forced wide, but here's Devonshire in support. Good run. Oh, and it's in! Devonshire gets the consolation goal. And the conditions perhaps had something to do with that, as Devonshire hit the shot. The ball off the slippy turf deceived Grobbelaar. So it's West Ham 1, Liverpool 3. But all that will do is provide a slight dent in Liverpool's defensive record. Two sad figures of Ian Rush and Craig Johnston, but an even sadder one there. John Lyne. Robinson, he's won most of the balls in the air. He really has had an outstanding game. And the latest pretenders to Liverpool's championship crown are taught a lesson by the reigning champions. Michael Robinson, a superb hat-trick, and a man who he's had his doubters in recent weeks in the Liverpool area, but they can surely have no doubts about his performance today. Referee Les Chapter, a controversial figure, but Robinson gets to keep the match ball for a hat-trick that he'll long remember, and a superb Liverpool performance. West Ham 1, Liverpool 3.
Well, a most impressive Liverpool display, exploiting perhaps a lack of pace here and there in the West Ham side. I'm sorry, though, I failed to see the reasons for Craig Johnston being sent off, creating a bad statistic for the game, having, in my view, committed no sin except that of an enthusiastic, unremitting commitment to his job, with no malice aforethought, which is the point I wish to make. You watch the ball bounce here between Pike and himself. They both go for it. Both were trying to get their chests across the ball so that they could screen it. 50-50 ball. All right, give a foul one way or the other, but not, in any book of mine, a name take. And that's, of course, which created the problem for the referee, because having taken his name for that, the offence that he judged later on in the game to be worthy of a name take put Craig Johnston off the field, and as players no longer appeal against this kind of thing. Now you can see there it was a tackle that could have been said to be 6 inches late, but the referee's the only one who can really decide. But my view is that he went for the ball, and I think Billy Bonds is agreeing here and saying, look, that's not a sending off offence, ref, but off he had to go, because these days 2 name takes and you're off the field. Now this is the sort of offence. Stevie Whitten's the one that commits it here. He's running across Kennedy. He's had time to think, and he destroyed skill and stopped the play. No grumbles about that kind of premeditated offence being punished in this way. But don't punish the lads for going for the ball. Well, if I become hot under the collar about that, perhaps the rain at Filbert Street will cool me down a bit. It was relentless and made life most uncomfortable for the players of Leicester City and Southampton, not the least for the goalkeepers and your commentator, John Watson.
Pouring rain and a howling gale dampened the reception for Peter Shilton, who returns from Hungary to his home city of Leicester, where he began his league career over 17 years ago. And he comes with a record of only 2 goals conceded in Southampton's 8 league matches. One man hoping to spoil Shilton's run is Leicester's Gary Lineker, who's scored 4 of the only 5 goals they've managed this season, and he's recovered from a throat infection. But they are without Bobby Smith, who has a hamstring injury, so Ian Wilson switches to left back. At number 6, Ian Banks is back after injury, and up front, Peter Eastoe makes his debut after coming on a month's loan from West Brom. There's also a recall for Tommy English at number 11. Southampton are without fullbacks Mick Mills and Nick Holmes, both injured, so Steve Baker and Dennis Rofe deputise. Rofe is also a former Leicester player, but another one, Frank Worthington, is suspended, so Ian Baird is at number 9 on a day when Southampton's reserve strength is put to the test. But one man who rarely gets injured is David Armstrong. This is his 450th league appearance. And the referee this afternoon is Bob Nixon from West Kirby on the Wirral. Well, just under 9,000 people in the ground at kick-off time at Filbert Street, and what atrocious conditions they've got to contend with on the terraces as the game gets underway. And the rain absolutely lashing down, and parts of the pitch already very soggy. David Armstrong. Here's Rofe. Danny Wallace. Tommy Williams with the throw. And there could be some mistakes on this surface. The ball is going to skid, especially on those parts of the pitch which are already partially underwater. That's Moran. Steve Williams to Baker. Moran again. Here's English for Leicester. Steve Moran, who took a blow there from Kevin MacDonald. Here's MacDonald, number 4. Bob Hazel. And Kenny Armstrong, who recovered his balance. There are 2 Williams and 2 Armstrongs on the pitch this afternoon. But for the moment, Rofe seizes the chance to come forward for Southampton and finds Danny Wallace. That was Linex across. Danny Wallace, injured playing for the under-21s during the week, but fit to play today. Mark Wright has gone up onto the edge of the 6-yard box. There's Rofe again, and skidding across, English having a swipe at a clearance, and the ball going out for a corner. Mark Wallington is back in goal for Leicester, having now signed a contract. He was previously on week-to-week terms, but Mark Grew, the new goalkeeper, got injured after 5 matches. David Armstrong to take the corner. Back in again by Baker. Now Agbula. Rofe. Free kick against Wallace. It's been raining here since early this morning, and the pitch has taken an awful lot of water. Here's David Armstrong for Southampton. And there'll be a few players losing their feet. Five minutes gone. Steve Williams forward for Southampton. Wallace. Moran. That's a good ball. Baker slightly deceived by the pace of it, and it's going to skid a lot this afternoon. Ian Wilson for Leicester. That was Lineker. And those back passes must be given some weight today. If anybody pushes one short, there'll be a scoring chance. That was right. Steve Williams. Linex. Eastoe. Ramsey. Oh, and a miss kick there, giving a chance to Isto coming through behind Lineker. Agbula relieved there because that was a complete miscue, and it allowed Isto a shooting opportunity early in his debut for Leicester. Header by McDonald. And the way back is cut off here. And Wright fouled by Isto. Wilson's header. Baird. Beaten though by Banks. Touched off by Lineker to Isto. This is Ramsey. Outside him is Linex. Up against Rofe. And beating him. And pulled back well. And Kenny Armstrong covering. To concede the corner, which Linex has gone across to take. And away this time by Wright. Here's Ramsey. Tommy Williams. And Linex seeing plenty of the ball, and there are plenty in the middle for him here. And Bob Hazel arriving. In fact, he arrived from Queen's Park Rangers last month, Bob Hazel, to take over the number 5 shirt here. Linex supplying the cross. Bob Nixon, who, when he arrived this morning, knew that the rain was falling heavily, but didn't think it would become as bad as this, surely. That's Linex. McDonald. Well played by Moran. David Armstrong trying to push one through. Header was by Wright. The man chasing is Baird. And Hazel goes towards safety. And gets the ricochet. Not risking the back pass there. And defenders generally this afternoon will be trying to avoid that sort of position where a ball played back towards their own goal may fall short and hold up on this waterlogged pitch. Life for the linesman, not too clever either. Stuart Jones with the yellow flag there. That was Ramsey. Header by Kenny Armstrong, and then David Armstrong. This is Wilson. Well, very shortly the ball will not run at all. It's holding up in virtually every part of the field. McDonald. And that was a foul by him on Baird. Williams wanting a quick free kick. The opposition were not 10 yards away, but the referee played an advantage. Here's Tommy English. So the opening quarter of an hour played in a rainstorm of the fiercest type, and parts of the pitch now bordering on the unplayable. Banks. Moran. And here's Linex. Well, on another day, he would have got away there, and little swimming gesture by Steve Linex as he fell, as if to indicate that that's the only way to get through. Forward by McDonald. Linex. He would have been away normally, but the ball and the players both being dictated to here by the conditions. Agbula, David Armstrong. It's all something of a lottery. Well, it won't run at all. Rofe with the kick. Oh, he's taken a tumble in, striking the ball. Here's Baird, and he's down as well. Kevin McDonald can't even carry it 5 yards. Look at that. And he's got players all around him from Southampton and still manages to get it away. Up to Lineker, who takes on Mark Wright and forces a corner. Linex to take. It was right with the header. Here's Ramsey. Linex is offside. Baird got a block on that. Danny Wallace has come over to the right. Maybe it's slightly less treacherous over here. If you can find a patch of grass where the ball will run, then you've got a bit of an advantage today, and he's searching for it. And the referee, I think, is going to have a word with his linesman, possibly about conditions, because this has got to the point now where it's virtually unplayable in certain areas of the pitch. And referee Bob Nixon has got to make, in a way, a difficult decision at this stage of the match. Luckily, the rain is just starting to ease a bit, and he's obviously going to give it a few more minutes and see how it goes. Mark Wright found a way forward, but there was an offside flag up against Danny Wallace. Here's Steve Williams. English. Well, it was a good turn, but the ball just won't move forward or back unless you hit it as hard as that. Kevin McDonald deciding that the only thing to do was to strike it with some venom, and he sees the funny side of it too. Foul by Wright. forward by Banks. Looked like a handball there by Steve Williams, but play goes on. Ramsey. Steve Baker trying to get in, and does. Williams. Well, it's monsoon-like here. More suitable, I would feel, to swimmers and divers than to footballers. But the consolation, if there is any, is that at least the rain is not coming down quite as hard as it was a few minutes ago. Tommy English for Leicester. Into Lineker. Isto is running on. Here's English. And Lineker couldn't get his shot in. And it bounced off Ramsey in the end. All a bit of a scramble. But Gary Lineker just saw a glimmer of an opening there. And then when Agboola tried to clear, the ball ricocheted off Paul Ramsey and over the top. And Lineker. And the referee has had to bring it to an end, and frankly, I'm not surprised. The pitch carrying surface water now virtually all over. They actually played just over 22 minutes here, and referee Bob Nixon has called a halt to the proceedings. Whether that means to see whether the conditions improve or whether it's a permanent case of abandoning the match, we shall have to wait and see as they go off. But for the time being, he has decided that the Filbert Street pitch is unplayable. Not quite a case of Dickie Bird and the cricket umpires here, but Laurie McMenemy is there in his raincoat, and he too is talking to referee Nixon along with his opposite number Gordon Milne there on the right. And clearly the conversation there is about whether conditions are likely to get any better, which is presumably why the groundsman also is being consulted. Well, surely one of the most bizarre scenes, this, of the English season in this or any other year, because the ground staff are now being asked to fork the pitch and see if they can get rid of the surface water, a point that's obviously been made by Laurie McMenemy, who's standing just close to them, having examined that puddle. And the referee has passed a message through from the dressing room to say that he has abandoned the match. So after 22 minutes of this First Division fixture, referee Bob Nixon decides the game cannot go on, and it will obviously have to be rearranged and played at a later date.
So despite attempts to get the water away, it had become apparent that there were very few areas of the pitch that weren't waterlogged, and passing had become a complete lottery, as Laurie McMenemy and Gordon Milne agreed.
Well, I think at the time he stopped it, John, he was absolutely correct. And the only thing I said to him after the game was, I don't think he gave it adequate time. I think there are a lot of people in the ground here today that paid good money. We've still got the group of Southampton supporters across there who've come a long, long way. And I think if we'd have said to them, look, let's give it half an hour, you're all prepared to wait, we'll have a go at it and see what we can do, then after you've tried and it'd been no better, then by all means put the game off. But I think the decision was a little premature, and we didn't show the people here that we did or could try and do something about it.
Would you agree with that, Laurie?
He was right to stop it when he did, the referee. It had got to the stage where the ball wasn't travelling more than a yard or two. When I got on from up there in the stand and I went on, there was parts where it was really over your ankles, and I think that's what worried the referee, whether the groundsman could get it away. And his decision really was to Gordon and I that he would give it 10 minutes. You know, one of the press lads says that he's given it about 7.5, but you see the rain didn't stop. It's still raining now, and he'd had the forecast apparently before the game. It's one of those things, nobody's got the right answer.
Just coming back to you, Gordon, are you worried about any local reaction in terms of supporters here who feel that they've been let down?
No, I don't think. The only thing, as I said, John, is I think they would have all joined in the spirit of the thing. I mean, they had to stand through it, doesn't it? And it was, I mean, freak conditions. And I think when you're subject to freak conditions, you have to give yourself a little bit of time and look at it and just say, OK, there's no problems. Just let's see if we can sort it out. I think they'd have quite gladly hung around for 30 minutes and seen if a group of people could have shifted this. Local knowledge, as you said earlier, John, the pitch is one of the best in the country in terms of draining. And I said to the referee to have a look at 4:15. The way it's going, it could possibly still have been unplayable. But it was just, you know, having a token gesture and showing them that we were trying to do something about it.
I think it's the time factor is the one. I don't know if there's a set time referees have to wait in certain circumstances like this, whether it's 15 minutes or 10 or whatever. But I think one of the things was that nobody could give them an answer as to how they were going to get the water off. I don't think you could have got a tractor on at that time. You know, and when the man appeared with a couple of garden forks, I mean, I couldn't see him getting right around the whole pitch with 2 garden forks.
Oh, he's quick.
Well, I tell you what, you should sign him on.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
Well, if anyone is still in any doubt about the possibility of the game being finished, particularly supporters who felt they were let down, it's worth watching the closing moments of the game again.
And the referee has had to bring it to an end, and frankly, I'm not surprised.
Really no one to blame except nature for that unfortunate happening. And what struck me, though, was that the spectators seemed to be enjoying the unavoidable mishaps and mistakes that were occurring rather more than the stylised midfield stalemate that sometimes occurs when conditions are perfect.
In view of West Ham's defeat, Southampton could have gone top of the First Division had they won at Leicester. Instead, Manchester United are the new leaders following their 3-0 win over West Bromwich Albion. United lead by a point from West Ham, who themselves are a point ahead of Queen's Park Rangers, Southampton and Liverpool. United manager Ron Atkinson said tonight, "I'm happy to be on top, but I wouldn't have complained if West Ham had stayed there because it would have meant they'd have taken points off Liverpool." Arthur Graham, what a bargain he's proving, scored at United's first against Albion, his first for the club. But the team to watch are promoted Queen's Park Rangers, 2-0 winners at Ipswich, to make it 5 victories in a row. Simon Stainrod got the first, with England's John Gregory making certain with the second in the closing minutes. Paul Walsh, surely an England man soon, was on target again, getting Luton's winning goal at Everton. And Peter Withe got his 7th goal of the season as Aston Villa beat neighbours Birmingham 1-0 in what appeared to be a bad-tempered derby. Villa's Colin Gibson was sent off for a foul on Noel Blake, who himself was accused by Villa manager Tony Barton of a butting incident after the final whistle. Blake, who missed a penalty, was apparently involved in an ugly scene with Villa's Steve McMahon, and Barton said Blake butted him and the referee didn't see it. McMahon has a bruise under the eye but will be fit for the UEFA Cup trip next week to Moscow Spartak. Not so lucky at Liverpool. Ian Rush, who we saw limp off in the second half with a groin injury, looks certain to miss the European Cup tie with Athletic Bilbao at Anfield on Wednesday. A quick check with the other teams involved in Europe reveals no serious problems. That includes Tottenham, 3-2 winners today at Wolves with the back in favour Steve Archibald getting the first 2. That's 6 goals in 5 games for the Scot. In Division 2, Sheffield Wednesday are now 4 points clear following their 1-0 win at Portsmouth and Manchester City's 1-0 defeat at Charlton. Chelsea maintained their challenge, winning 2-0 against Cardiff. The big news of the day comes from Division 2, where Charlton chairman Mark Hullier has offered to resign from the board if it would save the club from closing down. Charlton are threatened by a winding up order in the High Court on Monday, while Mr Hullier himself faces bankruptcy proceedings on Tuesday. Both actions have been brought by former Charlton chairman Michael Glixton, who claims he's owed over £500,000. Mr Hullier said in a statement this evening, "If my continuation as a director is felt by Mr Glixton to be preventing him settling his differences with Charlton, then I would resign forthwith." Perhaps the fans feared it might be Charlton's last game because nearly 8,000 turned up today, their best crowd of the season. In Division 3, Oxford lost their unbeaten record with their 2-1 defeat at Plymouth, but stayed top, a point ahead of Hull, who kept their unbeaten record with a 1-1 draw at Brentford. Division 4 leaders York City also lost 3-2 at Swindon, but they too stayed top, a point clear of Bristol City. Action from the Scottish Premier Division now with the 2 bottom teams, Motherwell and St Johnstone, looking for their first league win of the season. Your commentator is Archie McPherson.
Ball pushing this down by Carson. Wants to be taken care of. There's Brogan going in and he's done it. Oh, that was snapped so well by St Johnstone.
Now pools news, and with 11 score draws, dividends will be moderate. No claims are required. The numbers 7, 11, 20, 22, 30, 33, 39, 47, 49, 52 and 54. Finally, if you think England have got problems, just compare their fortunes with those of Italy. The world champions were beaten 3-0 at home today by Sweden to crash out of the European Championships with the appalling record of failing to register a single victory in 6 games. It took Sweden just 20 minutes to carve open the formerly impregnable Italian defence, Corneliusson setting up Glenn Stromberg's first-time side foot. And it was Stromberg who placed for Benfica, who added a second 7 minutes later. The move, building on the left before he received the ball, took on the Italians and with the help of Bourdon's poor goalkeeping, found the net. So 2-0 to Sweden at the interval, and any thoughts the world champions entertained of a comeback ended in the 71st minute. Stromberg again played a part with the initial pass to the right, but as the cross comes over, watch out for Thomas Sunesson sliding in at the far post. Italy's humiliation was complete, and 70,000 fans, 10,000 of them school kids with free tickets, were left stunned by that dreadful scoreline. To be fair, only 4 of the team that won the World Cup played today, and manager Enzo Bearzot, when asked if he'd picked the wrong side, replied, "Who am I supposed to experiment with? The old world champions? No, we are building for 1986.
Well, that's all for tonight. European Football in Sports Night on Wednesday, 9:55. It's been a day of the 3 R's, rain, Robinson and the Ryder Cup. And the latest news from Palm Beach, Florida is good for Tony Jacklin's Great Britain and European team. Before this afternoon's foursomes, it was 6-all, now it's 8-all. Here's the results. Nick Fowler and Bernard Langer beat Tom Kite and Ray Floyd 3-2. Brian Waits and Ken Brown lost to Curtis Strange and Ray Haas, also 3-2. Sam Torrance and Jose Maria Canizares lost to Lanny Watkins and Dr. Gil Morgan by 7-5. Severiano Ballesteros and Paul Way have beaten Tom Watson and Bob Gilder 2-1. Well, as to the other R's, we've all had enough of one for today, that's rain, and West Ham surely saw enough of the other, hat-trick man Robinson. Good night to you.
Well, the wind has really carried out an enormous distance. Bond's in trouble. There's Robinson, and Liverpool take the lead. Souness and Robinson, that's his second. Robinson, and that's the hat-trick.